Good evening. I'd like to welcome our tonight's council meeting. Would you please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Call the meeting to order. Open roll call.
Goodell.
Here.
Slater.
Here.
Scholl.
Here.
Rusher.
Here.
Davis.
Here. Need a motion to approve the agenda as printed.
Move approved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Need a motion to approve the minutes of the June 16, 2014 regular council meeting.
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We need a motion to approve the treasurer's monthly investment report and the June treasurer's report.
One thing I would add on that, you can see the year ending on this, and we've made some good progress over the last year. General fund's in the black, so everything that we thought was going to happen at the beginning of the budget process this year actually came through. A little bit lighter in the general fund than we would have liked, but it's a long rebuilding process, so hopefully in the next 5 years we can get it up to a good amount, so we have a decent reserve and keep the bond rating high.
Move approved.
Good job. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Do we have any questions on the claims for June? We need a motion.
Move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Under communications, anything from the public in attendance this evening? With that, we'll move on to a public hearing. This being the time and place for the scheduled public hearing on the bids received for the Humboldt Municipal Airport Conventional Hangar Building Improvement Project, I will open the public hearing at 5:33. Aaron?
The airport hangar project had 5 bids received. Received bids from Kalasha, that was $315,225.50. Woodruff for $385,000 even. Sand, $389,704.77. Jensen at $418,836 even, and Kingland at $480,446.45. As part of this requirement, or as part of the grant funding, there is a disadvantaged business enterprise requirement that's attached to the federal funds through the FAA. If you remember, we had this requirement issue about 2 years ago when we built the T hangar, and at that time, Sand Construction was the low bid and was actually removed due to not meeting the requirements. This time we have the 2 low bidders, Kalasha and Woodruff, both have problems with their bids with the DBE requirements. And I don't know, Bill, do you want to kind of go into this a little bit?
Sure. Bill Gravy with Cott Saddle Yarborough. The Kalasha bid, there was a goal of 0.56% DBE participation, which is a goal that the prime contractor is to try and achieve to subcontract to officially designated disadvantaged business enterprise contractors. And the requirements are that you either meet that goal or demonstrate that you made a good faith effort in trying to meet that goal. That's where it probably gets, there's some judgment involved, quite honestly, in determining what a good faith effort are. But there's also some guidelines to help on that. The Kalasha bid, they designated 0 for the DBE participation. The problem with the good faith effort there is that 3 of the bidders far exceeded that goal, indicating that, yeah, it is possible to achieve that goal. I think the others, if you've got I don't know if you have the bid tab or not, that passed down there.
It's about 3%, I think.
Yeah, they're 3 the others, the 3 that met the goal were all in the neighborhood of 3% or a little higher, actually. So that's kind of one strike against it, because there were other contractors that were able to meet it, so that indicates that it is possible. The other issue with the Kalasha bid was that their documentation for the good faith effort was a register off of their fax machine that they sent to, I believe potential is just phone numbers, but I didn't really track them all down, but I believe potential DBE contractors, that they sent out between 2 and 2.5 hours before the bids were due. And again, the requirements are that you identify work that DBE contractors can do. You inform them, you help them get a hold of plans, you help them identify what they can do. And in 2 to 2.5 hours, that was obviously not even close to enough time for a DBE contractor to find out about the project, find out where to get plans, go through them, study them, figure out what their bid is, and get that submitted. That's just not going to happen. And so for those 2 reasons, we felt that the Kalasha good faith effort does not meet the requirements. The next low bidder was Woodruff. In their case, there's a form that you fill out and sign that indicates the percentage of DBE participation you had. They signed the form but did not fill in any numbers. So, yeah, I mean, we don't know what their DBE is. I would almost assume 0, but that's an assumption, I guess.
Boils down to when you submit a bid, you follow the rules.
Yeah,
That's what it boils down to.
That's exactly right.
We've run into that, haven't we, Walt?
We didn't know that lately.
There was a secondary problem with the Woodruff bid, not having to do with DBE, but the proposal form for each bid item, there's quantities, so many square yards of pavement removal, so many square yards of new pavement, those kinds of things. There's a unit price for each of those line items and an extended price. Obviously, unit price times the quantity is the extended price. They did not fill in any of the unit prices. And again, that's very clearly stated in the bid documents that in the case of a discrepancy, for example, the unit price is what prevails. So we had no unit prices, and that is a pretty meets the definition of an irregularity in the bid. So there's kind of 2 strikes against them on that. So I guess our recommendation is that the 2 low bidders be disqualified for those reasons. The 3rd low bidder being Sand, having been through this before the hard way, I guess, did fill out everything properly.
Good.
And I guess there's been consultation with the FAA and Brian Tompkins with the FAA has concurred in the award of the contract to Sand Construction based on the items that have been discussed. So there is some comments from him about whether he believes that those are good faith efforts or not. Same as the last time we went through this, and they believe that there's a pretty high standard for good faith effort if other bidders have met the goal or exceeded the goal.
Correct.
Thank you, Bill. Any comments from the council? Do I have any written comments or objections on file, Gloria?
No, we don't.
Do I have any comments or objections from the general public in attendance? There being no more comments or objections on the bids received for the Humboldt Municipal Airport Conventional Hangar Improvement Project, I will close the public hearing at 5:40 p.m. The next public hearing, this being the time and place for the scheduled public hearing on the bids received for the Humboldt Municipal Conventional Improvement Project. Is that the same thing?
No.
Okay.
Oh, you have the agenda.
Okay.
It should be, sorry.
Excuse me. Page 2. This being the time and place for the scheduled public hearing on the bids received for the Humboldt Municipal Airport Slurry Seal Surface Treatment Improvement Project, I will open the public hearing at 5:41 p.m. Aaron?
The city received one bid from Fort Dodge Asphalt for the work at $104,980. This is over the engineer's estimate by $1,980. Blacktop Service cannot complete this kind of work and accordingly did not bid for the project. This is, I guess, Bill, how many years is this, did you estimate this would add to the runway?
Yeah, this is kind of a short-term stopgap method of treating the surface of the pavement, but, it's probably a good 5+ years, I think we could extend the life of this pavement. We had a bigger project down the road a ways that would address the line of sight issues on the runway. We'd have to actually raise one end of the runway. We've got that in the 5-year plan out about 5 or 6 years. And for numerous reasons, other projects and the status of our FA funds and so forth, we felt we needed to do something now to extend that life to get us to that point where we're going to do a more major rehab on the runway.
I guess I should also mention the previous public hearing, that's a 10% match, and then this is a 15% match. So, or
15.
yeah, 15. Just switch those.
Any comments from the council? Do you have any written comments or objections on file?
No, we don't.
Do you have any comments or objections from the general public in attendance this evening? There being no more comments or objections on the bids received for the Humboldt Municipal Slurry Seal Surface Treatment Improvement Project, I will close the public hearing at 5:43 p.m. The next public hearing. This being the time and place for the scheduled public hearing on the bids received for the 2014 roadway system maintenance project, I will open the public hearing at 5:43 p.m. Aaron?
The Blacktop Service was the only bid at $804,407.72. The engineer's estimate was $881,145.80. Both of these numbers were for the full project. If you remember, the project was kind of chopped into bites because of concerns of whether it would go over the total budget and the amount bonded for before the project was bid out. So fortunately, the top line number, or the full number, actually was well below what we had originally thought the total project would be, and therefore all the sections that were talked about were actually able to be included. So everything that was in those, I think there were 13 sections, will be included with the exception of the two that were removed at the very beginning of the project. Obviously, there's a significant amount of sidewalk work that was included in the project that drove the price much higher than if we were just doing seal coating, but one of those things you have to do now with the only DOT requirements.
I don't have anything else on that.
Do you have any comments from the council? Do you have any written comments or objections on file, Gloria?
No.
Do we have any comments or objections from the general public in attendance this evening? There being no more comments or objections on the bids received for the 2014 roadway system maintenance project, I will close the public hearing at 5:46 p.m. Under new business, we have Clayton Bowen requesting to be approved for the fire department. Tony?
Afternoon. Monty Bitson retired after 20-plus years on the fire department. Our standing and auditing committee brought forth this name of this young man, probably some of you recognize, Clayton Borland, and I guess I bring him in front of you guys tonight for your approval.
And how many city employees is this for the city?
I got Gary, Dana, Chris, and Clayton. And so that's one of the things that we discussed is obviously, and I talked with Lance DeWinter and some of the guys that are on the committee that the deployment committee or
Standing and auditing.
yeah. So I talked with those folks and obviously expressed concerns about how many city employees would be gone on a fire call, but Obviously, a lot of calls don't happen, you know, during work hours, and when they do, you know, there's always discretion if it's a really busy time. There's a lot of other firefighters that will take their place if need be. So I don't think it'll cause any issues whatsoever.
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Congratulations.
Welcome aboard.
Thanks.
Next, consider changing the traffic signal on 8th Street and Summer Avenue to a blinking yellow-red during construction of the Summer Avenue Bridge.
Moving through here too quickly for me.
Oh,
We've had several individuals, and Councilman Scholl have requested that light on 8th be switched to a blinking light during construction due to the large amount of traffic that's coming through 8th Street. Additional Sumner's closed beyond that street, so the cross traffic's very low. I think it's something that you can turn it to the blinking red and yellows, and probably move traffic through there a little bit quicker than what's going on right
So
now.
we're talking about the caution light, yellow light being on Main Street
yes.
and the flashing red on the cross street, 8th Street.
This is the same as when they remove snow, how they flip them all to the
Right.
blinking red to the side streets.
Right.
And so, you know, every once in a while, traffic piles up a little bit there. So.
Makes sense to me.
I've sat there many times going to Mother's now, and it would definitely be a benefit.
Move to approve.
We need an ordinance for that.
To switch
Or no, we need to vote again.
Do we?
Well, it's not changing the traffic control,
No.
it's just
No.
switching it to blinking
Yeah.
for the construction.
We have a motion to change, do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Just out of curiosity, what, middle of next year, what are we thinking on the bridge now? Just, you know,
Well,
It's on everybody's mind.
I've looked into the crystal ball, and it's gonna stop raining. I just got off the phone with the engineer from WHKS about where we're at on that. You can start to see the causeway, you can see a little bit more of it. You can see the big boulders are there, but most of the smaller materials have washed away. And so there's several questions that have to be answered as far as, you know, how far down is the river gonna go? Can they get at it? Will that be dry land, or is it, you know, pushed a rut right through the middle of it? The causeway is really gonna drive how delayed that project is. If the causeway is completely destroyed, it could delay it until we get out of the Topeka Shiner requirements. If the river doesn't continue